Good evening, Coach Smooth. Welcome to Sports Talk with C. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, and I'm glad we finally got it done. So
Yep.
tell us who you are and where you're from.
Uh, Name is Greg Canzader. A lot of people will mention me by G, Greg, or Smooth, even, and all those are fine. Um, but I'm born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. So that is home and forever will be home for me. Um, I am currently the head coach of the Putnam Science Academy girls basketball program. Uh, I'm also the CEO and founder of SIS RUN basketball, um, which got its start also in Boston. Um, and I'm a father, which I'm probably most proud of. The father of two beautiful girls, Madison, and who's a senior in high school, and Kennedy, who is just now in first grade. So um, that's probably me in a nutshell.
All right. Well, before we get into, being a dad, coaching, and sis run, I just want to ask you, what is the basketball culture like in Boston? I know it's only 45 minutes away from me, but I can tell you I really don't go up there much to see it. So, what is it like? And what was it like growing up?
Um, well, I'll start with growing up because I think for me it was very I think the term that probably fits best, is dog eat dog, if that makes sense,
Mm.
right? Where
Hmm.
um, you got a lot of talent in the city, and so much talent that some of the best teams at AAU travel teams were plucking some trying to at the this probably the beginning point of trying to pluck kids out of there. So as I grew up, I was always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder.
Mm.
And I felt like I had to go prove something every single time I stepped on a basketball court. A lot of that was because my
Hmm.
dad is a very prominent basketball person in Boston. Greg Simpson played for Northeastern alongside Reggie Lewis,
Mm.
great Reggie Lewis. Um, and he was smooth before I ever was. And so I had to live up to that name. And for years I just felt like I had to go out and get it every single time. So, to take that all the way back to now, it's in our DNA. You'll never meet a person in Boston that doesn't feel like, at least when they step on that court, that they're one of the best to do
Oh, I know.
it. And so if you know you definitely know. And I think a lot of that has carried over through time. I think grassroots and AU has changed some things, but Boston basketball will always be a gritty, grinded out
Mm.
style of play. But I think also we're least known for our basketball IQ and flair. And I think there's a ton of that, in the
Mhm.
city, and there's a ton of that I grew up alongside of. So, there's complete basketball players in Boston, and I think that's what we represent: a gritty, tough, but complete basketball player.
Oh, that's nice. And I watched this interview that you had did, and there was something, one of the things that stuck out to me the most is you said basketball was first love. And when you hear that, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Um, it's the one thing that you grow so attached to that you find yourself invested in it, and when it's not around, you find yourself in a different space.
Hmm.
Find yourself. When I was younger, I felt lost sometimes when the rare occasion where I couldn't play because of a grade, or mom didn't let me play because for whatever something that I did not do, and I felt so attached to it that um, it's something that I knew was a real love of mine when I found myself trying to help other people become better.
Mm.
And I think that's where you find a lot of people like basketball. Um,
It's a different when you love it.
it,
Who is?
Man, it's so different. Oh, I think you know probably as well as anybody that when you invest, right, you really invest time and energy and sacrifice into something, you love that thing, right? It could be a relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be a number, your work, your career. Basketball was something that I was ready to give up certain things for to do. And outside of my, my kids and my family, it wasn't anything else that I really wanted to do. And once I found
Mm.
that out, um, I owned it. I had to own it. I thought something was wrong at first, but I was like, no, this is that thing that people say, when you find love, you make sacrifice for it, and that's what I did.
And how did you don't that doesn't come easy. Like you to know that you have to make sacrifices for something that you love. Like how did you know? What's the process? What is the steps that you took to know that basketball was the one thing that you had to make sacrifices for?
Um, well, when you are faced with having to provide and protect and do everything for your family, right?
Mm.
But then you have young people that also depend on you. Um, One of the main things that I found out very quickly is that um, I'm going to have to give up some of myself to make other people's dreams a reality. Right?
Mm.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that I wanted to do was make sure that, and one thing I wanted to do was make sure that if this is something that I wanted to do, I wanted somebody else to say, Greg really gives it up for the thing that he loves. I want somebody else to speak of me in that manner because I think that's ultimately what it takes, or at least I found how quickly that's what it takes. When you're coaching a high school basketball team on the boys' side, which I did for a long time, and then eventually on the girls, when young people depend on you, sometimes you are their father at that moment, right? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you're their uncle, sometimes you're their best friend, sometimes you're their provider, and there's things that you're going to have to do, especially when they want to become better. You really have to sacrifice your time to make sure that they're getting one step closer to their goal. And so that's when I found like when I was doing that and it didn't feel like work, it was something I got to wake up and be happy to go do every day and still feel like that. That's passion. That's love.
I know that's right. This is how I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Um,
Love that.
when I know you played, and I
Yep.
know you're a coach now. Um, was that transition easy for you to become the player to the coach? And how did that come about from being a player then a basketball coach?
Um, so I was a point guard when I played. I also was somebody that my dad would constantly be in my ear about, being a coach on the extension of the coach on the floor, right? So
Mm,
I hear that term a lot, and that stuck with me. So when I felt like I was playing, I felt like I was in a weird way trying to coach and direct sometimes too, and sometimes too much, to a fault. But the transition was easy,
mm,
as far as knowing that that's what I'd like to do and want to do. Um, I felt like, to be honest with you, I quickly found out that I'm probably a better coach than I ever was as a player. um, and that's just the truth. Like I've no shame in saying that. Like I could play when I did. I played in college, high school, college. Had some small accolades, but as a coach, I really I've always felt like I knew the game and knew it
mm,
even a little better than I could play it. So the transition was fairly easy. But what made me start to really get into coaching, uh, my dad played for Madison Park High School in Boston, where he won a state championship.
Mm.
I was working for Comcast at the time, but I like really wanted to, get into coaching, and like I just had this kind of like itch to go do it. So I'm in my mid 20s or so, and I asked, my dad and Coach Wilson, who's the head coach over there, who was the head coach over there, legendary coach, was there for about I think 40 years
Wow.
total. And I said, can I come down and just work with the guys and just like watch practice and maybe even help out? I said, yeah, Smooth, come on, yeah, of course. And I went down there, and I went from being in, my work clothes to in full basketball clothes into a full blown sweat. And before I knew it, by the end of practice, I had like been showing them stuff. I was playing with them, against them. Um, I was all in after that day. So the first time I got to help my dad's alma mater and help Coach Wilson, I knew. I knew then. I coached, sometimes before that, but that was like the first program where I was like, oh wow, this is exactly what I want to do. Um, and I think I quit my job like a week later. um, but and I was working at the YMCA, part time, but just I had to minimize my work time just so I could make time to coach. And yeah, I knew then that that's what I wanted to do.
And when you hear basketball coach, what are well, first for you, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word basketball coach? And what makes the best basketball coach?
The first thing I hear is a leader.
Mm,
And in my case, when I think basketball coach, you're a leader of young people. I'm not in the professional division, so I'm not there in that regards. But when I hear basketball coach, I hear a leader of men. If you're in the professional realm, I hear basketball coaching, and it's got to do with high school or college, you're a leader of young people. Um, and you're a leader by example. You're a leader by your voice. You're a leader by your touch. So those are the first things I think about. Um, but I think what makes the best basketball coach is um, somebody who is truly able to communicate and convey their message and direction in a variety of ways and it be effective.
mm,
I've learned so many things about coaching over the years, but the one of the most important things that I could tell a young person or tell anybody else is that your ability to communicate um, in a multitude of ways and be effective in doing that is it's priceless. Um, I have I have a prep team, a prep program. We have two teams in our program, a varsity and a national prep team. Um, I have 12 girls on my national prep team. 9 of them are from different countries. 2 of them are American. Um, on the varsity team, there's only 1 girl who's American, and then there's 9 other who are from a bunch of other countries. Uh, so I'm literally living in the dead middle of really finding out how to communicate and be effective in a number of ways.
mm.
And in this case, sometimes not fluent in a bunch of them, but in some cases even language. So, but again, that goes all the way back to when I started coaching. You gotta find the best way to communicate to a person and convey it so that it's effective.
Those are communication is always the best way. And I think in life, and always figuring out how each person in your life deals with the best type of communication. And I know you said that you coach boys and you coach girls.
Yep.
How did that transition come about? Was it an opportunity? Do you prefer coaching the girls? What is the difference there? Because I know some people just say coaching girls, they want to learn more. Coaching boys, they're just, I got this. I know how to do this. So for you, what about coaching the girls that you enjoy, or is it just an opportunity that came about?
Um, I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I started coaching boys, and eventually I was able to, I wanted to continue coaching through the summer. And a really good friend of mine, Bronco Lassiter, Clinton Lassiter, you know, shout him out, about 5 time state champion in
Mm.
Massachusetts. Oh, big time. He's done very well for years. Sent a number of highly touted recruits to Division I school scholarship programs. But he runs
Fire.
also the Boston Showstoppers.
Ooh.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. I know
yeah,
who that is. Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And good friend of mine growing up, and he said, "Hey, well, why don't you just, help me coach here with the girls?" So it was the first time I was coaching girls, and I was like, "Oh, not I was I had a lot of respect for the women's game. My aunt played, and I knew so many good friends of mine that played, so I had major respect for the game. But I was astonished at how like skilled some of the girls we were coaching were, and I was fascinated by that to the point where I had been really open because at that point, I was starting to look at some head coaching jobs. So I was looking at not just the boys side but also the girls side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then a job at a charter school, Codman Academy, really small school in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and you know, quite frankly, our team wasn't good. We didn't have a great record. But I can't tell you that of a situation in which I learned more as a coach. And talking about message, I had 2 girls that knew how to play basketball. Everybody else didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was really teaching from the ground up and trying to give different messaging so that they can understand where I'm coming from and
Mm-hmm.
direct them how to play, um, to watch the growth that we had from the beginning of the season to the end was like phenomenal. And I was really proud of that because again, there was so much we couldn't do. And I think what I found in that situation is, um, when I talk about communicating and conveying the message, um, I believe in the women's game, it's more detailed in that regard. There's so much creation in basketball, creativity, but the fundamental value of doing certain things is always priceless to me. And I think there's more value in that in the women's game.
Mm-hmm.
And I've grown attached to that. Just, to be really honest, I've just found that I've taken a liking to coaching on the girls' side and the fundamental value and the detail there. But um, also truth be told, I got 2 daughters. So communicating with young girls wasn't like, completely foreign to me. In fact, it's probably helped me on both sides, being a dad and being a coach. So I, I say that because while my oldest is certainly not a basketball player, she loves watching it. But my youngest is she's into it. She's 6 years
Mm.
old. Kennedy's 6 years old, but she's into it. She's into LeBron.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
She
she's
knows
into
what's up. Kennedy. Yes, sir. You know what's up. Mm-hmm.
Kennedy, big time LeBron fan. But eyes were she was completely mesmerized when I told her like, there's another Space Jam with this guy named Michael Jordan, and she watched that. She was like, "Oh wow, I like Michael Jordan, but LeBron's my favorite," and that just settled it. Um, Kennedy's team LeBron, and I love that for her. But she's also into just the fun of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like she'll come to clinics and just play and just run and just have fun. Um, so I wanted to do that now, and eventually when it's time, I want to be able to help her to do something that hopefully she loves. um so yeah, I think transitioning to girls was natural, but it also is something that I don't think I'll go back from. I'm pretty comfortable in the realm I'm in with the girls basketball, and I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. I like that. I love my women's basketball. So you gotta.
Sure.
I hope you show Kennedy one these W games that's been on because they've been crazy. I
She
hope.
likes it. She likes the Sun, so I don't think she was happy when they lost. She
Me
likes
neither.
she likes their uniform, so she
Me
was.
neither. I wasn't happy neither, Kennedy.
Yeah,
Trust me.
she was rooting for the Sun. She
Me too, Kennedy. Me too. That's the squad. So me neither. We'll be back next year, Kennedy. We'll
oh,
be
for
back.
sure, for sure.
So through all the years of coaching, thus far, what has been the toughest or most challenging moment that you had to face?
Ooh, um, I think for me it was two stick out really big for me, and they were both at Brighton High School, where um, that's where I graduated high school, where I played. Um, but after Codman Academy, I went back to work at Brighton High School, and I was coaching on the boys' side. And there was a young man that I was working with was probably our best player, easily, and his home situation was really tough. His home situation was tough, and I realized, and I would pick him up. I would take him to school sometimes, and um, work out late, stay late, buy him food, do all those things that do the extra on top that a coach would do. But what I think was tough was watching him not be able to do the
Mm,
thing of right to literally not be able to go to a game because he had no choice but to watch his sisters, right? Like he had to physically be present, almost like a father.
mm,
Um, and he couldn't do the things that he was really good at and what he loved, and that was tough to watch. So much so that I would even offer sometimes, like, "Hey, bring him with you." You know, but he had a very tough home life where his parents weren't around. If sometimes or even at all, and so to watch him, and he eventually went to Clark University in Worcester to play college basketball. So I was so
fire. That must
yeah.
have.
So it was so
Mm,
probably one of the proudest things I've ever seen as a basketball coach. Um, and then there's another a young lady named Jalen, and so when I first got my head coaching job on the girls' side, excuse me, not my first, but it was my second stint as a head coach on the girls' side. Um, Jalen was the best player in Brighton and had been for like the past, I think, 2 or 3 years. She was all stars as a freshman, all stars as a sophomore. I take over as a junior, and Jalen's pregnant.
mm,
And, you know, it went from Jalen, just taking the time and dealing with becoming a mom, and which I was, supportive of and would drop by and help her with things. But Jalen was so determined to play that she was willing to do some things, in terms of sacrifice to help play, to help get herself back on the court. And I watched her at times. Physically, she wasn't the person that she wasn't nearly the player she was. So it was watching somebody that was like almost a shell of herself, just because being pregnant, having a baby can take a toll on you, especially as a young person. You might not physically know how to deal with it. Um, so at first, it was just really tough watching her work so hard, endlessly, like, and she just felt like she couldn't, gain any ground. Um, but she finished that season, and she made it through
mm,
that season to the point where on senior night, she had her baby right there, um, and stepmom right there, being able to watch. So, two moments that were really tough ended up really good. It ended up on a really good note. But
mm.
I think dealing with it, right, dealing with it and watching it, it was hard. it was hard for me as a parent to watch that. So even as a coach, it was tough. But I am really happy it panned out for both of them.
That's what's up. And if you could give me, I know you said they turned out to be great moments, but
Yeah.
if you could give me as a head coach, what was one of your favorite moments that you had?
Oh, well, I think that's easy. The one of the best moments I think I've experienced as just a head coach period was um, watching our high school team in Brighton, uh, watching them get their first win.
Mm.
There's nothing sweeter, especially when you start out 0-4. uh, so season seems so long at that point. And when I tell you, we went to South Boston on the road, and it was one of those
And
girls.
it was a road game?
Oh, yeah, it was a road game. It was
Woo! That's definitely a
road
good
game
dub.
went down to the wire, and those girls pulled it out. And probably the first time I had shed some happy tears as a coach because I watched how happy it was for them, and that was pretty special. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget how hard I watched
Mm.
people play that. They were stepping outside of their comfort zones, and I was watching it real time. Um, so I'm super proud of that. I'm super proud. I have
Fire.
a bunch of different moments, but I was really proud of that.
Fire. All right. Coach Smooth, if you could describe your coaching style in one word, what would it be? Mm-mm.
Direct.
I know that's right. Straight to the point. Yes, sir.
uh,
I know
I,
that's right.
I wish I could put it in another way, but I can't, and I won't. Won't. It's direct. Because I always preach. You know, when something's expected of you, right? Pressure means that something is expected of you,
Hmm.
and I try to apply the right kind of pressure, not just pressure, but the right kind of pressure on my groups because I have a high level of expectation of them, right? Whether it could be different tiers of talent, but I have a high level of expectation in terms of your effort, your energy, and your attitude, right? The EE
Mm,
is super important to me because
I
it's the
like that.
it's the non-negotiable things. It's the things that you can give. You don't have to be Rihanna Stewart, Courtney Williams, Nafisa Collier. You don't have to be them to give the energy, have the right attitude, and give the best effort. You don't
You
have
can't
to.
teach that.
You can't teach that. You can just do that and be the best version of yourself. So, I start with that fundamental, basic,
Mm,
but everything outside of that is direct. I want it to be direct in what I expect of you. And I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't ever berate or talk down to anybody. I'm not that kind of coach, but I am straight to the point and I am direct. So,
I,
yeah, I would say direct.
I like that. You're never not knowing what you need to know. So when you're direct, straight to the point, you always know, like you said, what is expected.
Yeah.
So I love that. And if you were given an opportunity with any coach, someone you may know, college, professional, to pick their brain, have a sit down, chop it up with 1v1, anything,
Mm.
who would it be?
Oh man, that's such a great question. um, well, I'll give a caveat because I think I've always just wanted to sit down and pick the brain of one Kobe Bryant, just because I thought he had a marvelous way of just thinking the game, especially
Mm.
when he retired. But obviously, if he were alive, I would absolutely choose him. There wouldn't be any question about that. But I think also for me, I grew up a UConn fan of everything, and being able to pick the brains of, two guys that one of which my dad played with, Jim Calhoun.
Mm.
Um, my dad played for him at Northeastern, and Gino. I would love to sit down and talk to Gino. I've said a couple words to him and just in passing and AAU and that sort of thing, but like I've never really got a chance to sit down and really just pick his brain about all the things that he's been able to teach and learn over the years. Um, and I don't even think of Gino as a perfect coach or even the best coach, but I know he's so experienced in terms of a guy who has dealt with the highest level of women's basketball that I know there's no situation he probably hasn't seen or come across. And I would love to pick his brain about that.
That's fire. Like, because when you think about both, like Calhoun and Gino,
Yeah.
and like especially Gino, and then in the past, I think, how many years did they say? Do not quote me because I really don't remember.
Oh, I'm thinking about it too. Sheesh.
In the WNBA alone, he
Yeah.
had a player in the national championship, like in the championship, the final.
Like so much.
Right. And so that's fire. So we got to speak that into existence for
Yeah,
you for
yeah,
sure.
yes, yes,
We
yes.
definitely got to speak that into existence for you. But now we got to talk about Sis Run. First, where did the name come from? Because that is fire.
SIS RUN, which is, you know, part of my lovely background here, but SIS RUN again, it's another, a thing that basketball wise came very natural, and um, the name came from me, but it came because I was after our first run, right,
Mm,
um, where we had boys. I watched boys. I a bunch of boys had asked me to go play if they could just go play at the court. Mind you, it's COVID and all that, and I was like, well, we got to have the right, go with the right protocol, et cetera. I knew some people around the city that would let me use the court and all that stuff. So, when I allowed them to play, I was coaching girls at the time, and I said, man, this would be really cool to get a bunch of girls out here. Um, but I want to make it a thing that they can all come to. I want to make it public so that I don't just want to have a small invite. I want anybody who wants to come to be able to come. And I was like, well, what am I going to call it? And I was sitting on my porch. It was raining. It was like nighttime, and I was like, sisters, sisters, sisterhood, sister. And, and then obviously I'm thinking sisterhood and open run, and boom, sister. It was like a big eureka moment, like stars start sprinkling around your head,
the
type.
light bulbs
Like,
went off.
yeah,
Everything started going.
yeah. And the minute
Hmm.
I said it to myself, I said, "Oh my God, that's it. That's absolutely it." And then it took off. It took off from there.
So is it like an AAU team? Is it like what is it? Like what is Sis Run? Like if I want to collab, you got 30 seconds to tell me Sis Run.
Sis Run is a open platform for women's basketball, um, from ages uh, middle school all the way to high school to college, and even post college.
Mm.
And it is a open run pickup basketball platform in which we have multiple courts. You can bring your own group of five. You can come down by yourself as play as a free agent. And the best thing about it is it's a free program. I've never charged anybody in the 5 years we've done this a single dime. And if anything, I've invested in it and some others. But we pride ourselves on being a free program, and it's a whole lot of fun. It really is. It's a whole lot of fun with a lot of good people, a lot of sisterhood, a lot of camaraderie. Sis Run is awesome.
I love that you did you got that.
I try to get it in both.
Yes, I'm gonna have to clip that off for you and send it to you so
Yeah,
you can keep that snippet
thank you.
because you did absolutely amazing.
Thank
So
you.
I just have to get back to, you being what you first said about the culture in Boston.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's some dogs there, right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna have to
Oh yeah.
come out and I'm gonna catch it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like when everyone just like, could we go play some pickup basketball? So this is kind of like what it is, but
Yeah.
but a bunch of people, a bunch of women that come and play basketball. Because I've heard several people talk about it. Just listen and be like, oh, we going to SIS run. And I'm like, what is this?
What is that?
Yes.
um, so what it is it is that, right? So like
Okay.
that scenario you just said, like, hey, we're going to go play pickup. We're going to assist run. Like it's become that, and I even still kind of like it's still shocking to me. Like that's a thing. Like when people say, hey, I'm going to go play some pickup ball, like the assist run's the first thing they mention, or one of the first things that they mention. But it really is that. So if you are, if you have your group of, let's say, five players in high school, then you're all best friends and you want to go just play, pick up, you can go to Sis Run, in which there's at least three courts, um, and you're able to get on. And if you win, so basically, if let's say you're in a group of five and you win, well, your team advances to the next court, right? So basically, level one,
Mm,
level two, and then level three, um, or sometimes even level four if we have if depends on how many people we have. Um, if if we have so many people where in the Dana Barrels Club, which we ended up moving it to, we may have to use the fourth court. So sometimes it's four, but basically there's one winner's court every time there's a sis run, and the object is to ultimately stay on that court, right? For
mhm,
majority of the night. Okay. And if you come down as by yourself, you're like, hey, I just want to come get some pickup run. I'll put you on the free agent list, and then you'll be with a number of other ladies or women that are free agents. Have,
mm.
you could have anywhere from some of the best high school kids playing alongside some of the better college kids playing currently. We've had, and I
I
mean
think
this.
my cousin went out and played for you for this run for a little bit.
I believe. Listen. There's so many people that have played the assist run. I'm embarrassed sometimes to realize, oh wow, you played in it and didn't even realize. Like, but again, I'm grateful because we've had the likes of Taina Mayer, who plays at Duke, Oluchi Okinawa, who currently plays at Duke. Um, we've had uh, uh, Cam Rust, who currently plays at Penn State. Natalia Rosa, who's one of the best, high school kids in the state of Massachusetts, go play, and she just committed to Seton Hall, right? She's played. Um, we've had Yolo, who's I think the all-time leading rebounder and even one of the scorers at Emmanuel College. She's played. Um, Asia Dingle. Like I could I could literally go on about the number of girls and the reason why I'm kind of shouting them out. Tatum Forbes, like um, I'm so grateful to have them, represent Sis Run and speak of Sis Run and pass the word of Sis Run, because as I always say, I work for them. They
Hmm.
they make this thing work, and it's made me want to work that much harder to keep Sis Run going. Um, it's it's something I'm really really proud of, but more so just grateful because it, these young ladies could have gone a bunch of other places to go play basketball.
Hmm.
Really, they really could have. And for whether it's for me, Sharon, shout out to Sharon, Annette, my sisters, my family, my sister and family that helped me make this work. Whether that's because of the camaraderie, because of the music, because of the whatever it is that makes them keep coming back and speaking well of Sis Run. I'm just super grateful for.
That's fire. Like, congratulations, because I've heard about it on several different occasions. So it's definitely out there. And I have to come check it out, definitely for sure.
Yeah, you would even just watching it there. Well, I knew we were really doing something when guys, young guys that I know, and older guys would come to just watch that.
And it's
Uh,
hard, getting guys to really catch the ladies hoop. If you're not a
yeah,
big name that
yeah,
and putting in work, it's so hard to get the
yeah,
guys to come watch you hoop. So if you
yeah.
definitely, so that's amazing. Keep, doing what you're doing with coaching with SIS Run, because it's fire. Do you guys have like tournaments?
Oh
Do
yeah,
into fire. See,
yeah.
amazing. I definitely gotta come. Bring my mics,
One of the
get
biggest things
some
we have is a
content.
Sys Run
Absolutely.
Invitational. I don't know if it's a Sys Run Invitational happens every summer, and
Yes, I've heard of it.
yeah, it's a big tournament, but that's like the highlight of the summer. And
Mhm.
we've been blessed to have some, like I said, some pretty big names playing that. And again, it's highly competitive. The Globe, Boston Globe shouted us out. A number of publications have, recognized like Sysrun and the work we've been doing. But I think when you're there, you're realizing it's a different deal.
Mhm.
So it's still surreal to me. I'll be honest with you. Like every summer is like, wow, this is still happening.
Of
Like
course.
it's very surreal. But like I said, I'm still working for it. I'm still working for them.
I love it. I love it. Continue putting that work in, because I'm gonna come, because anything basketball is fun anyway. So I gotta come, and I love watching women put on a good show, and especially when they hoop really well. So I'm gonna come see you. So you definitely gotta let me know
Oh, for
when
sure.
I could come and check you guys out for sure. So definitely send me some dates. And but one more question for you before you head out.
Oh, please.
If you could describe Sis Run in one word, what would it be?
Ooh, um, this run, this run is it's unique. Uh,
Ooh, give
it's
it to me.
it's unique.
Yes.
It's unique because while pick up basketball isn't unique, I think to see the energy, like I said, when you
Ooh.
get there, it's different. When you see the energy of that many girls just going to play pickup basketball, but there's a level of like, again, there's that sisterhood thing where girls know each other from a bunch of different places. Just the women's basketball community is one in one spot. Um, that's unique, and that's not seen, much often unless you're at a big game, a big tournament, or so. But to see it in the realm of just pickup basketball, I think it's been really unique, and again, a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, continue with Sis Run, continue coaching our youth, and continue to being the leader, the direct leader that you are. And thank you for coming on Sports Talk with C and chopping up and talking hoops with me. It's greatly appreciated. And you have a wonderful evening.
See, you have been awesome. I thought you would do amazing work. I follow you,
Thank you.
and I think this is really taking off, and I think your style in which you conduct this stuff is, like I said, it's extremely classy. But this is fun, and
Thank you. I try to make it fun. That's why I told you
no,
we
it
gonna
is,
vibe. We
it
gonna
is,
vibe.
it is. You got a real vibe about this, and it's very natural. So thank you. I'm grateful for you having me.
Thank you. You have a good night.
No problem. You too.